Hello everybody and welcome to the Expat channel. Today we'll talk about 1 year as an expat management consultant in Asia, specifically in Singapore. I will not talk about my day-to-day job and what I actually do from Monday to Friday. As you all know, management consulting is not a 9-to-5 job. It's quite a hassle and that's rather boring, I would say, to explain here on YouTube. I want to really focus on the more fun part I did. I did a lot of travel last year and I want to go into more detail on 2019, and I will emphasize this a bit with some pictures and kind of an album, and I hope you enjoy that and you get a bit more of an insight on how my life is and was last year. Let's get started. So we start with December 2018. Usually over Christmas, New Year, I escape from Singapore. There is not much to do in Singapore, and Singapore tends to be more or less empty during holiday seasons. People fly out, they want to go to the beach, they want to go to Bali or other destinations. So what I usually do is I fly to Phuket. It's very close by, just 1 hour flight from Singapore. And in Phuket, I usually go to Denai Harn Beach. So that's a beach 1 hour from the airport. It's very convenient to get there. We have here Phuket open, Phuket Airport. It's around 1 hour. Probably more famous is the Patong Beach. It's further south, and that's Denai Harn Beach. And usually I take the hotel Denai Harn. So that's the hotel here by the sea. It's an amazing hotel, very nice, and we'll see some pictures of it. So this is the Denai Harn Beach. That's usually where I go 2 or 3 times a year. It's it's more for families or couples. It's quiet. There are a lot of food options around that area, and usually I do a lot of sports. So morning, lunchtime, evenings, I go swimming, I go jogging. So usually also I do some education, self-development, or some learnings. Good, so that's Phuket. I, end of 2018, thought why not surprise my girlfriend in Hong Kong. She was in Hong Kong with her family for the weekend and they planned to go to Macau for the New Year celebration. 48 hours before that, I thought, why not? I'll just go there, surprise her, and that's what I did. So I flew over to Hong Kong, surprised her and her family, and we did some Hong Kong sightseeing because I know Hong Kong quite well. I studied there for some months. So that's the view from the hotel that we had, and that's from the peak. It was really nice weather, we were lucky. And during New Year, we went with a boat over to Macau and we celebrated New Year in Macau. Had some gambling time, we went to casinos and had a great time. 2nd January 2019, we are back in Singapore. So most of the weeks then in January I was in Singapore working on client side. Just to give you some background how I lived during that time. So actually in 2018 I was mainly in Malaysia on a project, so I didn't even have an apartment during that time. For 1 year I was constantly in Malaysia and Kuala Lumpur. On weekends I would fly back to Singapore, so that's very common in consulting. On weekends you can go back home. What I did is I just changed the flights and informed my travel agents at the company to book a flight instead of Singapore to Bangkok, to Bali, to Jakarta, or wherever I wanted to go. So every weekend I was somewhere else in APAC. Now 2019 I had a bigger project in Singapore, so I stayed more in Singapore and I decided to get a room there where I used Hamlet.com. So that's a company that has several apartments with rooms to rent out, and it's on a monthly base, so you can move out anytime you want. You live with other people, so in that apartment that's in One Shenton Way, where I was with 5 other people, it's a really nice apartment. So it's actually this one. I was on level 42 of 50 levels, very high up, very nice view, big balcony. So that's the living room. It's a nice place, and usually it wasn't that packed. I mean, people, we work during the day, in evenings people go out. It wasn't that this apartment was totally packed, and also not all rooms were always occupied. That's the view from the balcony. So you are in the middle of Singapore CBD. I paid for my room around 2,000 Sing dollars for this one at One Shenton Way. I think it's a reasonable price. It is a bit more than when you get a normal apartment, but that's the flexibility you pay for. So every month I could just decide I move out, or if changes on project side were occurring, that I could just cancel my apartment there and move out very fast. So this is, every condo in Singapore usually has a pool. So they had a 50-meter Olympic-sized pool. That was great. I do swim, I do my training, so I use that quite extensively. They have another pool which is more leisure, more chill, which is just to relax. Not much to do in Singapore, to be honest. This one is actually a golf tournament in Singapore on Sentosa. And actually also saw they have a Porsche Panamera, and it also showed the price tag on it. And you need to know, in Singapore cars are super expensive. Usually when you buy this car, it costs probably in Europe or in the US, you pay probably 150,000 or 200,000 US dollars. For this car in Singapore, you pay double. It's 500,000 Sing dollar. It's around 350,000 US dollars just for this Porsche Panamera. So that's my time and weeks in Singapore. I usually go 3 to 4 times a year back to Switzerland, either for project reasons or visit my family. I went in February, beginning February, to visit my family for 1 week. I flew over to Switzerland, so that's where I come from. The view on the Zurich Lake, it was quite cold, I have to admit. It's February, it's quite cold, so I had my winter jacket on. I had great food. I love fondue. So this is a restaurant in Zurich with a friend, and we had some great dinner there. I do combine it with skiing. At least 1 week a year I want to go skiing. That's up in the holiday house we have, and it's usually empty because I go in the early morning, so that's 9 a.m. Empty slopes, and great time for snowboarding and great weather. I was quite lucky. Back at the airport, usually I go into the same lounge at the Zurich airport. They have a great choice of drinks, a great choice of food. And I was lucky in February when I flew back to Singapore. One of my friends, he is a pilot, and coincidentally he was the pilot of that flight, and I was given the opportunity to go in front to the captain's place, and I could join them until the landing in Singapore. So that was really a lot of fun. Then I'm back in Singapore February for 1 week. Then we did a staycation. It's something that's very typical in Singapore. You do a staycation because you don't want to stick around at home all the time. So you want to do something different. You go to a hotel in Singapore with your girlfriend or with your boyfriend, and then you just spend there a weekend. You know, it's a different environment. It feels like holiday. And that's what we did. So we went mid-February, we went to the W Hotel, just relaxed a bit, had some good food. Breakfast was amazing, as you can see. Continuing working in Singapore for 2 weeks, then beginning of March, I had to fly back to Zurich for an internal course. The course was at the north part of Switzerland, next to the Bodensee, at the border to Germany. That was 1 week in Switzerland for the course. Then back in Singapore for the next couple of weeks. Beginning of April, celebrating my birthday, my girlfriend invited me and surprised me. So we flew to Thailand, to Krabi, for my birthday. Krabi is a nice place, I have to say. I never went there before. The beach was amazing. So after that birthday, I worked just 1 day. I was in Singapore, then I went onto the plane again back to Switzerland for a project ramp up. I had to be 1.5 weeks in Zurich. 1.5 weeks in Zurich. The weather was good as well. I mean, I couldn't do much. I could catch up with some friends, but it was quite short, and the project is very intense, so I had to work a lot. When I came back, I promised my girlfriend we'll do a staycation in Bintan. Bintan is next to Singapore in Indonesia. So we have here Singapore as an island. Then we go further down and we have Batam. So Batam, Bintan next to each other. Bintan is much bigger. Actually, Bintan is bigger than Singapore, as you can see here on the map. Batam has a city, so there is opportunity if you want to go clubbing or you want to go out. Batam is the place to go. Bintan is more quiet, it's more family friendly, more couple friendly. The beaches are a bit nicer. It's usually one area with 3 hotels where we usually go. And they have 3 hotels next to each other. One is the Cassia Bintan, which is more on the family side. These hotel rooms are a bit bigger, more space if you have kids and the family. The other hotel is the Angsana Bintan. It's a bit more expensive. I would say, yeah, probably more for couples, have a bit bigger pool. And the last one is Banyan Tree Hotel, which consists of mainly bungalows, and it's on the high end of the price range. So that's how it looks like. That's how the Cassia Bintan looks like. A nice pool. In front of the pool is the beach. Very relaxing. So back in Singapore for some weeks. It's May. Mid-May I did a weekend with my friends. So that's kind of a birthday catch-up with my friends. I would every year invite them somewhere and we would go somewhere, and this time we decided to go to Bali. So we had some party in Bali, some relaxation in Bali, and we rented a villa for that time. So it's a villa, it consists of 3 buildings. We were actually just 3 guys, so we had the whole space for our own. It was very relaxing. Usually during that time, and if it's 1 or 2 days more for a weekend, I would work in these destinations, and usually on the evening we would go to the beach club. This is the Finns Beach Club. It was quite packed. Came back to Singapore, and the weekend after we decided we would go for a staycation in Manila. So we went 2 days to Manila, had some good food, some rest, and came back and then to work in Singapore for the next couple of weeks. I love golfing, so actually this is the Marina Bay Golf Course range. So we would train here a bit, and I go there very regularly. Probably once a week when I'm in Singapore, I would go there, do some training, and get ready for the trips then we have usually on weekends. So this is one we had end of June. We went to Batam for golfing. So we would usually go on to the ferry on a Saturday morning. We would go golfing on Saturday, then we stay over, usually in Batam or Bintan. And the next day, Sunday, we would go golfing again in the morning, and in the evening get back to Singapore with the ferry. That's me I think I was in Batam that weekend. So we do like to drink a lot of beer. During the golfing, it's not super competitive. It's more of friends getting together, and we just enjoy the weekend and relax a bit. July, we decided to go for a staycation back in Thailand in Phuket. So that's a staycation we did in Nai Horn Beach as well, and I showed you that before. So that's from the hotel itself. So we had a room there at the Nai Horn Hotel, and you see here the Nai Horn Beach. It's very, very beautiful. Especially the breakfast is amazing. You have all kind of meat, cheese assortments. You have Western food, Asian food. There's a lot of choice, and it's really, I can absolutely recommend you that if you are working in Asia and have weekends, you can escape, go to Nai Horn Beach. You will not regret it. It actually reminds me a bit of Greece. So you have the white hotel area, very white, and then the green and blue in the background. It reminds me a bit of Greece. 2 weeks later, the weekend, I had to go on a business trip to Taiwan. We had an annual meeting where all colleagues from the consulting firm would meet at one destination somewhere in the world. We decided this time we'd go to Taiwan. So we went to Taipei, and all I saw from Taipei was this view from the hotel. We never left the hotel area. I mean, this is the management meeting we had. We had some great food. Everybody took some pictures of it. A lot of drinking involved, I have to say. It's practically Thursday evening drinking, Friday evening drinking and clubbing, and Saturday evening drinking and clubbing non-stop. It was very heavy, not a lot of sleep at all. We did an event, we built some robots. It was a lot of fun. You have to keep consultants engaged, you have to network, you have to, and I mean, it's fun. You can meet your colleagues. It's a lot of fun. You build stuff together, you exchange, you get to know each other better, and yeah, just have a good time. And again, a lot of drinking. Sorry for that. The weekend after, we went for a one-day golfing trip in Batam. Have the whole day golfing, and in the evening we would drive back with the ferry to Singapore. I actually also have a putt green in my apartment. I'm now in Citygate right now. I do some practice sometimes, but it's more for fun. Good. After that weekend, I flew back to Switzerland in August, beginning August. We went to visit my family. I went with my girlfriend. She didn't go very often to Switzerland, so I showed her around a bit. So it was a 1.5 week trip to Zurich. The first day we took a plane. It's a small one, and we flew all over Switzerland, and we had nice views over the mountains. So we flew down to Ticino. We drank a coffee there. We went up again back to Glarus. We flew up to St. Gallen, so this is the Sentis, flew around the Sentis, then this is the Zurich Lake. Back there is Zurich, can't see it very good, but this is Zurich. Then you have here the Rapperswil Pfäffikon-Schwyz. As this is the area I live. This is the Grosse Mythe, flew around that. And obviously we went a bit of hiking, some nature, things that you don't really have here in Singapore. And also some fondue. I love eating fondue a lot. I think all the time when I went to Zurich, I had at least one meal of fondue. Also, usually I fly to Zurich when there are weddings. So a lot of my friends, they have weddings set up the next couple of months, and this is one of them up at the Voisesberg. So yeah, it's a nice view from up there, and it was a great and very beautiful wedding. Switzerland, then we were back in Singapore. I also put in a picture. I went to a friend of mine. His condo is in Orchard Street, so he also has a big pool, and we relax a bit. So I was in Singapore for a couple of weeks until I had to go back to Switzerland mid-September. I went to Switzerland for 1 week, and I went back to the Voisesberg. So it was a coincidence that the Voisesberg, where I went to the wedding a month before, I actually had a business course at the Voisesberg, and this is the view. It was quite raining the whole week, but it's a very nice hotel, and we had a great time there. Usually we do a leisure event midweek, and we went somewhere into nowhere, mid of Switzerland, up into the mountains, and we had a great dinner there and some games and just some leisure time to get to know each other also a bit more. Usually before I fly back to Singapore, I always go for cheese. I buy a lot of cheese to have enough reserves back in Singapore. So this is the assortment in one of the stores in Switzerland. Then I flew back. I was in Singapore. Then beginning of October, 2.5 weeks in Singapore. Then I had to fly back to Zurich for only 2 days, and that was for project reasons. This meeting was actually also up in the mountains. We always have special locations, because for colleagues from the US or from London, they like to not just have seminars and meetings in boring meeting rooms in Zurich. They want to go out somewhere. I mean, it's just a 2-hour drive from the city, and you have nice locations like this one. I decided, because it's only 2 days in Zurich, that I would do a short stopover in Dubai. I have friends there, so I flew over Dubai back to Singapore, and I stayed in Dubai for 3 days. I had the weekend spent there. So this is my friend's apartment, and the view from there. We went to the beach, chilled, relaxed a bit, had some great food. Dubai is absolutely recommendable. It's very, very nice. It is expensive, but the quality of food and drinks and everything is top-notch, high standard. It's great. It's amazing. I did some home office during that time as well, and then I flew back to Singapore. Actually, I was only 2 days in Singapore, and then I went golfing to Phuket, a longer golfing weekend. So this is the Red Mountain Golf Course, probably the most expensive golf course I ever went, and I still had a hangover from the day before. I played horrible, and I think that course cost over $200 per person. And oh yeah, I had a friend at the golf course who joined me throughout the golfing. I didn't give him a name yet, but hopefully next time I'll go, I'll meet him again. Good. So after the Phuket, I was back in Singapore for 4 days. Then I went for a staycation with my girlfriend. We went to Bintan, Angsana this time, the other hotel I've showed at the beginning already. So we had a nice breakfast there. We relaxed at the pool and just chill. We decided the weekend after we'll go again. So just 4 days in Singapore. Then from Friday to Sunday, we would go back to Bintan, the Lagoon Hotel. I was lucky, my friends then also joined for Saturday, and we went golfing for 1 day. So here I was just chilling, and we went golfing for Saturday, so I could combine it with having a staycation with my girlfriend and also meeting my friends for a golf day. Good. Then after the Bintan weekends, I was many weeks in Singapore, 5-6 weeks, and we did, oh, that's in December. So in December I went for Christmas holidays. I went back to Phuket, to the Nihorn beach, where I met my friend from Zurich. So he would also go once a year to Phuket, and we'd spend some time at the Nihorn beach. We usually do a lot of sports. We go swimming, jogging, do some gym exercise, and here you can see the beach. That's the Nihorn beach, the Nihorn hotel. And it's just a peaceful and quiet area to spend time. This is the Nihorn Hotel. It has a big lounge area, a nice view down to the beach. And then for New Year, I visited a friend in Vietnam. So we wanted to celebrate New Year in Ho Chi Minh City, up on a rooftop in a club. That's what we did. So I took a room at Landmark 81. And I did home office in Phuket during that week and also through New Year. So I had a room in Landmark 81 where I worked. And yeah, during New Year we just had a big party and had a lot of fun. As you can see here, I always travel hand luggage. I don't want to check in any of the luggage because it's just too much time I lose. I have to admit my hand luggage is a bit heavy. Usually it's 15 kilo instead of 7 or 8 kilograms. So I always get away with it. Nobody really checks the weight. They look at the size and it's fine. So that's how I travel. Good. That's my 2019 as a management consultant in Asia. Obviously, I have to work a lot, also usually on weekends, and all the destinations I go, usually I work in the plane. I work even in the lounge when I have some time at the airport. It is a lot of work behind, but there is also the fun part, and that's the part I wanted to show you. I was able, and I'm lucky, to go to a lot of places in Asia on weekends, and I didn't even talk about 2018, the year before that. I traveled even more, and it was even more crazy. But this already is a nice sneak peek into my month to month as a management consultant in Asia. I hope you liked it. If you do have any questions or anything you would like to know into more detail, please let it know down below in the comments. Give me a thumbs up, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye guys.